I want to talk about the Justaminx versus Haley fight. This one was, again, one of my favorite fights. Did you see this one?
I saw a bit of it, and it was mainly the fact of seeing Justaminx smiling.
Yeah, no, she went mad halfway through that fight. Like, I could see it. It was kind of an interesting thing because Haley was a last-minute addition. Like, I don't know how much training Haley had, but Haley showed a lot of really good boxing skill. Like, actually, it was hard to compare when you lose, right? But I tried to look at it objectively. Haley kept her guard up the entire time. Haley was executing good movement. You know, it's just like a few missing pieces to the strategy, like with that big right, no counter to it. So what would happen was Haley, who was shorter, would come in trying to fight and engage. Justaminx, obviously, guard completely down. There was no technique at Justaminx strategy after a certain point. All Justaminx had to do was wait for Haley to walk into range and then throw a punch. And Haley didn't have an answer for that. Later in the round, did start to block that right with her left glove. You did see that, but when you take 5 of those, you know, it starts to rattle you after a while. But this fight was crazy because it almost went the distance. I think it got stopped in the 4th round, and you could tell Haley was tough as nails. So was Justaminx. They were both tough because it's not like Justaminx got out of that with no damage. I think Justaminx said that Haley punched out her contacts in like the 2nd round.
Oh, wow.
So she couldn't see. And it's just like this kind of delirium sets in after a while. But, you know, Haley was definitely more athletic. Was able to keep up. Like, by the 2nd round, Justaminx was starting to get winded. Haley was still composed, still locked in, tight. Gloves up and front. The problem, gloves up and front, like, didn't leave for the sides to block, but up in front, up, ready, punching accurately, doing a very good job. But there was a height difference and there's a weight difference. And so, like, having that disparity does create a disadvantage. Haley can't put as much power in her punches as Justaminx. It's not like she wasn't putting power in, because I bet Justaminx was feeling those punches. But when you start to tire out, the punches get weaker, you know, across the board. You could see it in Justaminx. Justaminx was, like, pretty much slouched over by round 3. And then fully floppy by round 4. But that's when the loopiness set in, and that's when it got scary. Like, I imagine, like, that's part of it. But Haley never backed down that whole fight. Even at the end, they called it TKO, standing TKO, and at a good point, because at this point, Haley had blood gushing down her face, but looked like a warrior the whole time. It was a very, very fun fight to watch, not to box, I bet. But man, again, hard in that fight. And to jump into this, I believe just a few weeks before the event started, to just be like, I'm boxing, I guess. Here we go. I don't know how much like previous experience with Haley, but I would not be surprised if there was a good bit.
Yeah, given what you're telling me, she probably had done some training, maybe even before she decided to join the event. Yeah,
even if it was just like cardio training, you know, cardio boxing, stuff like that, which is totally valid. Yeah, good fight. And then just there was another. There was one after another.
One, and think that's the first time we've ever seen a female creator fight.
Was it?
I believe so. There were talks of other ones, but I don't recall there ever being one.
Was it? I thought during the first, like, Logan KSI thing.
Not that I can recall.
Huh. Maybe. Which, kudos to them. Honestly, like, just as entertaining. That's the thing about, like, women's sports. It's just, like, just as entertaining.
100%.
When I watch the CrossFit games sometimes.
Yeah.
And whatever you think about the CrossFit, you know, community as a whole, that's your opinion. The CrossFit games, the actual, like, event is crazy. And honestly, I like watching the women events just as much, sometimes more, than the men's events, because it's just athletes.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And they're fucking going for it. They're going for it. The crazy athleticism, the crazy feats of strength. It's nuts.